So we've arrived at my 3,136 video. So it is time to go over some symbolism that pertains to this. And I want you to add your own experience and interpretation to the number or any particular element that you wish to. Because certainly my understanding and my experience are what I found of what other people have to say is not everything that can be said. So some general meanings include natural priesthood involves terms, relationships, and expressing on different levels. Isn't that what my channel is about? Is expressing my beliefs and practices in the terms of various cultures and languages without, per se, compromising what I actually am. Restrain fear and negativity. Fear and shyness are said to be the strongest drives of the human. And negativity, I wouldn't moralize that either, but in general, people have too much of both of those. Something is missing from life. Well, isn't that true about everyone? Wrath of God, acting disrespectfully, both a personal and collective identity is amplified. Now, where I have this stuff rested is somewhere that has got rain and sun and hasn't been walked on since it has, so it's as clean. No need for any special sanctification ritual. Nature kind of does things on its own. So some words that occur in the Bible. Peris os amenos, sun goi, gird the fellow laborer. It's not just that you have the right equipment for yourself, certainly doing something for your fellow employee could be worthwhile to do. You don't have to put their clothes on themselves, but not that you have to, not that they can't buy their own protective gear or anything, but perip oi haseos, the saurun, purchased treasure, Oaf thahsan, Oaf elha thaisa, see profit, Profit, tap ein o thahte, Korazin, humble Korazin. Well, the context of the first verse that has Korazin is not a positive one, but that is what we arrive at using two words. So let's share of the scripture of this age, verse 3,136. So that would be 27. $25. Alayas tudu lavina ukrejulke. Let's start again. Judulalina Yukrijulakava Visamawadu Walarne Wayalamumatu Hefuna Wamatu Walinun. So this is in the middle, it's the middle verse of a prostration passage where traditionally a person prostrates afterwards. But sort of a Gnostic idea of God is being brought up here, because it brings forth the hidden of both the macrocosm and the microcosm. And of course it's known what you're expressing and what you're not expressing. I mean, I've shared other translations, but I'm going to leave those points at that. And 31:36. Oh, there is no 31:36. Okay. Oh yeah, I should have known that right off the bat, because the Princess of Discs, as I used to call her, would say verse 34 of that chapter was her mantra. Kind of dropped it off, but that's her choice. But Leviticus 27:22. And I'm talking about the original, well, not per se the original, but certainly a pre-Christian version of this, not the King James version of the Greek. Well, there was no King James version of the Greek, but you know what I mean? Is that there was a Greek and there was an Aramaic, Aramea, which is actually how you pronounce it, as spelt in their language, but they never called it Hebrew. Of course, people call it ancient Hebrew, but that's for another thing. 27:22. And if a man sanctify unto God as a noun and a verb a field which he has bought, which is not of the fields of his possession. Say, you can't go around, well, I mean, you can, and people do it all the time, and people even have wars that, oh, I'm going to sanctify this other guy's possession. It's like, you know, dedicate your own stuff, because a little bit of something lawful, I mean, like that over there. If I dedicate just enough space on that by taking off those statues and saying, well, I dedicate this space, you know, since that's allowed of me, things are so much better than if I acquired miles worth of land through some bad means. So let's be very careful about dedicating only what is ours. Numbers 20:16. And when you cried unto God as a noun and verb, I hate how they say Lord, because that's not a proper translation of Yahweh in any way, shape, or form. Well, figuratively, but let's, you know, you can dumb it down and say God, but, you know. And when we cried unto God as a noun and verb, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. And, you know, Moses was in the Holy Land of Egypt. He wasn't, you know, he didn't exactly leave Egypt to have his experience. But angel is sort of a very ambiguous term. It's like angel number. Just because a number keeps repeating itself in what you encounter, and sometimes it really is beyond mere chance. It doesn't mean that the angel, some angel sending me a message or something like that. That's not. It's not how it works. We're designed to either make patterns or find patterns. But angel is in terms of the light beings, the unfallen angels, the ones that never could make a bad decision. They're kind of like, God's computers in a way of thinking, living computers. Maybe that's not quite the way, but 2 Samuel 15:29. Zadok, therefore, and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. I guess maybe I won't go into all the 2 Kings 13. Getting the page right in this wind is, well, there's not too much wind, but 13:9. And Jehoahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. And Joash, his son, reigned in his stead. And remember, in both the Biblos and Tanakh parts of the Bible, because originally the Christian one wasn't, it wasn't always joined with the so-called Old Testament, and it wasn't always called the so-called Old Testament, but there is no J sound. So you hear any of these J sounds coming up, you know you're dealing with something that is, there's going to be issues with figuring out how it's pronounced. Psalms 119, 166. And it's in the section Shin. Those who love God's law have peace. There's more mention of love in terms of anything that I support in the so-called Old Testament, but people act like, oh, John 3:16. It's like, I don't like John 3:16. 2 Timothy 2:16 is a better passage than that. Anyways, Psalm 119, 166. God is a noun and verb. I have hoped for thy salvation and done thy commandments. Yeah, learning the 176 verses of that chapter would be quite the interesting one to have accomplished. I mean, if you're going to learn one chapter of the Bible, I think that's the longest one. 2 Timothy 4:12. Galatians, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the Acts, and the Romans first, and... Okay, 2 Timothy. 4:12. And Tychicus have I sent to Ephesus. Okay. Sometimes I stumble with my pronunciation and I don't mean to, but that's how it goes down. It's not that I don't know how to say things. I don't know what speed I'm talking at sometimes. So I'm going to return there to that. But Aleister Crowley, One World Order. Now, you've seen that theme arise in my channel video and some other places. I really do believe that there should be one world order. That doesn't mean that we can't have a bunch of different ethnic groups or religious freedom or anything like that. I basically mean, among other things, about there being one religion, one true relationship. But the good and truth of that is known throughout time and space, and certain degrees of belief and disbelief exist in various passages there, societies. So, but he was a great synthesizer, and without Aleister Crowley, I don't think the Theosophical movement would have had, per se, the influence. Although I'm actually going to share a Theosophical Society book from, at some point. But anyways, because certainly some things in Western, it's like my work on the Goetialist shows you that there's stuff in the Bible that you know, it doesn't have some answers, and some of the answers aren't, you know, things that I would support. But it does talk about a lot of stuff, and if you're super creative and if you use symbology, then you can say stuff that it doesn't say. But come on, any spiritual force that would want humanity to be guided would have probably done better or not left us with only that. But it's mostly good stuff, I'm not saying that. And hast made us unto our God kings and priests. That's the problem that people have with organized religion, or what is that our personal political and spiritual authority, it is in the hands of humanity. And whether by priestcraft or statecraft, humanity needs to step away from that and not say, I'm going to vote for the lesser. Okay, if you can have some sort of influence, but we got to stop with this voting for the lesser evil, or saying, well, it's just defeatist attitude that just let other people be in charge of me. It's like, well, that's how they become more and more along the lines of what's not good for you, our humanity. I traded in my video games to buy supplements. Now, don't live on supplements, live on real food. Living on supplements, you can spend $400 a month trying to supplement over the food that you're eating, and just eat whole food. Eat in a balance. It may cost you a couple $100 a month. It's going to be cheaper than doctor visits, and it's going to do better than supplements. And really, if people compare it, you know, the snack foods and stuff is going to make things... Androgyny proves utmost holy virgin. Well, we have a spiritual existence beyond whatever, and some things are symbolic and all that other stuff, but we need to stop looking at physical reality and saying that it automatically, because some aspect of spiritual teachings coincides with that, oh, there was really an ancient Israel starting in the starting in under Merneptah and all that. Okay, so it doesn't mean that everything we're taught in regard to Israel or anything else is necessarily true. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not true, but let's not jump to conclusions like that. No such agency. It doesn't exist. Just ask them. We have limited free will, people. One of the greatest secrets to happiness is knowing a proper set of limits. Again, that's not, well, I don't want to work towards a raise or anything like that. It's that, you know, I find a satanic witch the least desirable woman for a bride. And sometimes the spiritual choice, rather than any of the more physical aspects, is certainly, you know, key to who one would want to marry. Don't just have fun and decide, okay, I don't want to go have fun, and, you know, end up with right character and spiritual character. What is worshipped is an essential aspect of that. Violent psychic attacks connected to numbers. You can follow some patterns of things and predict things and figure out things, and people have particular ways they like doing things, but we got to be careful with our things like that, and not say, you know, you certainly don't want to poorly judge somebody because the numbers, some aspect of them on a physical basis, not their behavior, but some aspect of them on a physical basis, or maybe even some behavior that's perfectly fine, puts them in a higher risk category or something. That's, you know, careful with your profiling. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Now, in a metaphorical sense of heaven is and where you want to be in the afterlife, heaven is where you want to be here. That is the goal of my channel, of course, is that everybody in their own way to benefit by their own intentions through my content. And some aspects of one thing and other aspects of another thing are certainly going to come through. The world's too brainwashed to learn the truth. Oh, to hear the truth. Okay, you can stop your... Well, perhaps their mind is too dirty. Brainwashed would mean they're clear and open. But I know the phrase. Do all things without murmurings and disputings. Unnecessary arguments are definitely something to stay away from. Remove Confucius is the start of civilization. Just like the book of the barbarians or something, that kind of act like that I have. Everybody's barbarians or savages except Christian culture, and Christians civilized the world, and that's really what people thought. Nowadays, they're not really allowed to say that as professors, but for my grandparents, they definitely did. Ready to punch all you trolls in the mouth. Well, we can feel things, but just internet trolls, that's not exactly something to be so upset about. It's like I think they need to stop focusing on the president's tweets and, you know, focus on something that's more of value. And we noticed that since he started running for president, it's like, oh, all the tweets are in the news now, versus, well, a careful selection of them. Sound wave weapons. Certainly our words are weapons, but it's amazing the sort of technology that governments have been using in weaponry that kind of sounds all sci-fi or mythological, but it's true too. I was born August 18th, 1989. So somebody's watching this video that's true about, and you feel like sharing, because you are so frustratingly crazy, ha ha ha. Men and women say that to each other sometimes. I am going to touch you with my nightstick. That don't sound right. But we got to have some good and bad and crazy stuff in here somewhere. I were given this job by God. Again, don't make your emotions and your thoughts out to be your own God. Oh, I have feelings too. Yes, feelings. I know that's going to upset some Baptists or something, but that's what people need to hear. I don't know, is this Swedish or what is this? Duck vux us guk husvuk ha simbur of gur kav tek ratka DKV X US GK HZ VK HH SBR UV GR CV another word TCRHTKH. I can't quite see the screen, so but I'm Gematria agrees that I need to leave this satanic society. In tarot, there's the Fool card, and the thing about the Fool card is we act within society and we act outside of society. So be in the world but not of it, as the Sufis would say. Illegal zombie farm discovered in New Mexico. Well, if anybody's doing anything like that, it's the government, so maybe it'd be illegal for the general public. The leopards will lie down with young goats, spiraling out from the center of everything. Her parents told me that I was the love of her life. Well, I've been told that when it doesn't matter as much. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 20. Now, since that came up, that would be Psalms, Jeremiah, Kings, Chronicle. Oh, I'm thinking the other order, aren't I? Kings, chapter 19. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. As Satan was made before us, and that left a mark in its ego. Well, I don't, the way that ego is used nowadays. But ego is really the construction of consciousness. We need to not judge it all evilly and all that stuff. But the jinn came before humans. The old ones, those entities that may like to be called gods, those males and females out there that's, yeah. So that was the reason they said, well, I'm different. I'm better. Okay. So it's up to us to decide whether or not that's the case, whether they are better than humans or gods compared to us. Their souls are getting deleted no matter what. May 24th, ascension into higher self. This is the true origin of the Christmas tree. Okay, that verse, 2 Kings 19:20. Then Isaiah the son of Amoz sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith, God is noun and verb, Lord of Israel, that which thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, have I heard. And why won't you come? So, be the sage. Direct the oracle. Don't let it direct you. And operate these themes according to your own beliefs and practices.